Right, welcome back everyone. As you can see, we're digging a hole. So this is going to be the hole for the sump pit. We've had to break through about 6 or 8 inches of more hardcore underneath this, some pretty hefty chunks of house brick and concrete. But I think we're getting down to the soil, nearly, and from there on it should be a little bit easier. So we've got to go down about 1/2 metre to get the tub in, get it set at the right level. And then we can backfill around the sides of it once I've dry fitted all the extra bits that are going to go in it for the sump pump. So we'll catch you in a bit. Bye bye. Right, here we are. Moved on a bit. So we've managed now to dig down and get the sump basin in. It was actually a bit harder than I realised. If you can see over there, we had to first of all cut through 4 inch of concrete, and then below that there was at least another 8 inch of absolutely solid hardcore, which we had to break up again, and then below that sand and soil. So it took a little bit longer than I expected and had to dig out a bit more than I expected. But anyway, we're there, we've got it. So now we've got to fill it in again. I mean, that doesn't really make much sense, does it? You dig a hole and then fill it back in. No, anyway, what we're going to do. So the plan is, that's the sump basin, and in there will sit the sump pump. Now, coming out the sump pump will be a power lead, and there will be a hose that pumps out the waste. Now those are going to run down that channel and connect them to that white pipe running along the wall, and the power cable will run up to that socket there once that's been converted. So to do that, what I have to do now is run a 2 50mm pipes in that channel. So I need to dig down a little bit further because I want them to be under the new concrete level. I don't want the pipes embedded in concrete. So they're going to go underneath that channel there and actually come into the basin. And that will be one for the waste pipe and then one for the electricity cable. I don't want to run either of those directly through soil or concrete in case I need to change them or do any repairs to them. If I run them through 50mm pipe, then that means I've got easy access to them. After that, we've then got to run another 50mm pipe from this channel all the way down, which will then be for the ACO drain, as you can see, up to that end. So the first job today is to get this basin set. So I'm going to have to dig down a little bit more, drill some holes in the basin for the new pipe, backfill around the basin with soil and hardcore. Then I'm going to have to put a collar inside that basin so I can then start to cement in. And then if you see over there that big black ring, that is the collar for the manhole. So I'll then need to set that in at the right level so that the manhole is flush with the garage floor. So that's today's task. Let's get on and do it. See you in a bit. So, hit a little bit of a snag. So on the bottom of these drains, there are several size holes you can take off for the drain. You can also go off the end, but I'm going to go from underneath because I want this to be sort of a gravity drop and not have any catchment at the end. So the plan was to use the smallest hole in the centre, which I measured at 50mm. Went out and bought some 50mm pipe and some 50mm elbows like this. Only one slight problem. It's not an exact match. So, left me with a bit of a quandary about what to do next. Because it's going to be gravity drain, it doesn't have to be 100% solvent weld watertight. I could actually sort of use silicone or even PTFE tape and get a push fit on this. So what I'm going to do, what I have done, is I've cut myself a couple of collars of pipe, you see here, and actually what I've done is I split them like this. So what that means is that I can put one into the end of the tube like this, and that'll fit in quite nicely. I can solvent weld that in place, and then the other one, I'm trying to do this one-handed, so bear with me, is I can wrap around the outside, and then what that does is that gives me a pretty close push fit into there, and I get a bit of silicone on that, and that should hold. That should be good enough, because like I said, it's only going to drop through there and into the sump basin. It's not going to be holding any water, so I think that'll be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and get that fixed in place, give it a chance to cure, because I need to dig out this section here. I need to go back about 1/8 inch and just dig out a little pocket to accept that elbow, which will then feed a straight tube into the side of this bucket here. So I'll crack on, get that done, back in a bit. So here we are. So one collar inside and then one collar on the outside, solvent welded on. What I'm going to do now is I bore through there. I'm now going to silicone this piece onto this piece like a wit, and that should hold that in place, and then we can start digging out and get that laid in. I've already sort of laid out some of the track in place, so yeah, back in a little bit. So that little bit missing there was bugging me. I just can't leave that like that. So what I've gone and done is I've cut out a small piece, and that should fit neatly in there like that. It just bugs me leaving stuff like that. Bit of a perfectionist in that way, so I'm going to get that bonded on and get this whole thing siliconed together. Back in a minute. So there we go, it's all siliconed in. I think that's not a bad job. Let's see what happens when it all goes together. Something a bit loose there. Yeah, should be good enough, he says. Anyway, let's crack on. Back in a bit. Right, let's see where we're up to. So we've set the sump basin in. The collar's in for the manhole cover. It's a little bit untidy, but I can neaten that up. It's secure, it's in place. That's partially cemented in up to the pipes there. So need to finish that off a little bit. And the next task is to set the drain into the channel, which is sitting just there. That's all siliconed up, good to go. Got the covers on the grills on there, and they've got masking tape on, stopping cement falling in. So the next job is mix up some cement, get that in, and get the whole thing locked in place. Then we should be good to go. Back in a bit. Right, moving on a bit. So starting to put the channel in. If anyone tells you this is easy to do, it isn't. First time I tried to put this in, failed miserably. What I thought I'd do is I'd put some concrete beds in at certain locations where the joins are in the channels, and a couple of places further along, and then just sort of tamp down the channel into the concrete. Not a chance in hell. Started to try that, everything kept coming apart. It was just a bit of a bloody nightmare. So what I've had to do, or what I've ended up doing, is I've created beds of concrete around where the joins are. So what I've done is I've actually put the channel in, and I started to pack the concrete around the joints underneath and secure it in place, check the levels. Hopefully I've got a fall on it. I think I have. It's not a very big one, but hopefully it's enough. And then just kind of backfill all the way around, tamping it down as I go in, because the shape of these channels, there's a slight curve underneath. So my theory is that if I tamp down the concrete, it'll drive underneath the bed of the channel and support it from underneath. I could be absolutely talking crap here, but that's what I'm going with, and we'll see what we end up with. But I think it'll be okay. But you know, as with all these things, time will tell. So I'm going to crack on, try and get the rest of this stuff filled in. I'm only filling up to a certain point. I don't know if you can quite see at the back over there, and maybe sort of a little bit down here. I'm not quite coming up to the surface. So what I'm going to do is, once this is in and that's set, I'm going to go back over it with the float, with just a normal mortar mix, and just to create a nice finish, and do any sort of slight angling into the channel that I need to do for the fall. So that's the plan. So see you in a bit. Bye. Right, we're in. Took a bit of time, but it's in all the way up to the end. If we just go up to the end, you'll see that's where the manhole cover is for the sump. Bit of tidying up to do in there, a little bit of debris in there. I'll show you that a little bit later. But it's in. Glad I did that. I was charged by 2 separate builders, just shy of £2,000 to do this. That's a bit of a chunk of cash, which I could spend elsewhere. Not that I've got £2,000 to spend, but I figured I'd take it on myself. I mean, how could it be? You're digging a hole, you're digging a trench, you're mixing some concrete. It was a bit harder than that, I must admit. Digging that hole was a bit of a headache. Actually, reaching in there, half a metre down, getting up all the crap. Luckily I had somebody to help me. My partner Jen helped me, because my knee was absolutely shot. So between us we got in there. There's a little bit of fettling to do on some of the concrete, but like I said, I'll just mix up a small amount of fine normal mortar, no aggregate in it, and I should be able to get a reasonably decent finish on whatever's left. I'm quite impressed that I actually calculated exactly the right amount of concrete. When I sat down and designed all this and figured out the volumes and the volume of the channel and how much concrete I'd make with the water added to it and what the ballast would be, I got it absolutely spot on. I'm amazed. So I didn't have to overbuy in concrete. I knew I'd have to buy some finishing mortar just to finish off the top surface. That's fine. I only need a couple of kilos to do that, if that. So it's in, and I'm glad. So we'll crack on, finish this off, tidy it up, and then we will paint the floor again when the weather's a bit warmer. Absolutely chucking it down at the moment. If you can see out through the window there, my fermenter's getting a good bath in the rain, so that'll be coming in a bit later. But yeah, I'll be back in a bit. Bye. Okay, so here we are, done. All finished off now. I've just put in a cement mix just for the top layer, top 10mm, just to finish off, try and get a good grade between the two concretes, the garage and the new channel. It'll need a bit of brushing off and tidying up a little bit later, but it should be fine. Channel's in, seems okay. I might have a little bit of a dip at this end, we'll find out. I'm not going to worry about it too much. If there is a dip, I'll just put a hose in at this end and just blast it all down to the pit at the end. It's yeah, it's taken me a couple of weekends to get this done, but definitely worth doing. It's obviously saved me quite a chunk of cash. Learnt a lot doing it. What could I pass on if somebody was going to do it? Give yourself more time. You can do it. I used a 9-inch angle grinder with a concrete cutting disc and an SDS hammer drill to do the job. So you don't need anything overly fancy to do this work. Obviously it's a bit of work, it's hard work on your hands and knees. I must admit, after the first weekend my back and my knees were killing me, but I'll recover. It's alright, it's fine. I dare say there's going to be a witness between where this has gone in and the existing concrete floor, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to repaint it all anyway. So that'll cover most of the sins. For those that are going to try and tackle this themselves, yeah, definitely worth it. I'll get yourself a decent pump for the sump pump. I'll show you that in another video. Make sure you dig the hole deep enough, not just for the bucket that you're going to put the pump in, but also for the collar for the manhole. You're obviously going to have to dig a lot wider than the bucket, because the collar's a lot wider than the bucket. And take your time, plan it out. I kind of calculated on paper pretty much how much concrete I'd need and how much top concrete I'd need, finishing concrete, and I pretty much got it spot on. I mean, that is literally empty, having done the last little bit at this end. So in terms of calculating what I needed, it couldn't have gotten any better. What has it cost me to do this? Well, I was quoted from 2 companies to do this job, just under £2,000. What has it cost me? It cost me the cost of the angle grinder, the SDS drill, the cement, a trowel, because I didn't have one. Well, not the right one anyway, not a gauging trowel. This thing here, which has allowed me to get the finish on the floor. In total, I would say this has probably cost me about 300 quid to do the whole job, including the manhole cover, buying the tools. Yeah, so you know, the savings are there. 300 quid, 2,000 quid. It's a no-brainer. The only real hard bit is time and labour. I'm not a builder, I'm not a bricklayer, I've never done this stuff before. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Trust me. I'm a guy that walks around with a blue badge. So, you know, this was not easy for me, but I've managed to do it. So, give it a go. Is it going to work? Oh, time will tell. I don't know. It should work. It was certainly one of the options on the table when I was speaking to the 2 companies that came around to look at the possibilities of doing this. The most extreme was to put the channel in and then run out the back door over there underground and connect up to the main sewer line. And you were going to talk in £2,500, £3,000 for that job, plus digging up the whole back garden, the patio. I just didn't fancy that. So the other alternative on the table was to put a sump drain in, which uses a pump with an automatic flow. So once the water level gets above, I think it's about 10 or 20 mil, it just starts pumping out. And it'll pump down to pretty much a couple of mil off the bottom of the bucket. And it'll handle solids up to 25 mil diameter. So anything that comes out of the brew day, any sort of particles, any hops or any trub or anything, it's going to handle it, no problem. Yeah, definitely worth doing. What's next? So what I have to do next, now this is pretty much the last big building job. One of the other jobs I have to do is to change the front door to the garage, which is an up and over door. It's not critical right now. I'm probably going to do that a little bit later. What I want to do right now is finish off the electrics. So what I will do before that is I'm going to paint the floor. So that's going to mean moving all of this stuff, the bright tank, the fermenters, the sink, out the back doors, put them into the storage shed at the back, and then we'll paint one half of the floor. So we'll paint the right hand half of the floor, then we'll move all the brew tanks over once that's cured, and we'll paint the left hand side of the floor. And then once that's done, I'll have access to that wall. I'll be able to finish all the electrics on that side, and then I'll be able to finish all the electrics on this side, and I'll get somebody in to commission the connection from the main, which is somewhere behind me that you can't see. And then that'll be the brewery ready to go. What else has been happening? We have applied for AWRS and a PPA. A big shout out to Rob Miller at Scream Brew Company. Big help, Rob. thanks for sending some of that information through. It helped me filling some of the gaps that I had, and there were a few. There's quite a few documents you have to go through. I think that at the end of the day, the total number of documents I had was about 21 documents, and I may not have finished yet. I've had a response back from HMRC. They've had it in their system for 2 weeks. I got a response on Friday. They are now processing it to go through the relevant information. They'll be in touch if there's anything else I need to add. Hopefully I've got all the bases covered. I've compiled these documents into a PDF booklet. If anybody else is doing this and they want either my help, I'm sure Rob will help you if you approach Rob, but if you want to see what I produced as part of my application for APPA and AWRS, happy to share it. Just DM me and I'll send you the details through. Obviously I'll miss out some of the personal stuff that I don't want you to see, like bank details and stuff like that, but I can describe what you need to provide in terms of that in text. So yeah, so that's in the system. They reckon, you know, they say on the website 4 or 5 days. I know it can be longer, it could be on the button, who knows, let's wait and see. It depends how on the ball the caseworker I've got is. General information I've had back is that they're pretty good at sorting stuff out, but like with all these things, it depends who you get, I guess. So hopefully within the next, where are we? We're about 25 days in since it was submitted. So hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe we'll get some information back. Maybe we'll get the applications granted. We'll see. I'll keep you posted on that, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to go and get a cup of tea now because I am absolutely knackered. I've been at this since, well, I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to go and get cleaned up, have a cup of tea, have a nice cold beer later, and back to work tomorrow. And then back at it during the week and then at the weekend again. Hope you've enjoyed this. If there's anything I've missed off or anything you want me to explain in further detail, just drop me a message and I'll see what information I can provide. But for now, I'll see you later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.